Hi everybody, I'm Bill Dusty, and today we're going to take a look at the Jie-Star X8 Sky Hunter. The Sky Hunter is a foldable drone. As you can see here, I've got it out of the box here. It comes like this, all folded up, and what you do is, if I'll move the box aside here, you can extend the arms out, and it's just like this, and then you bring out the legs. So this is how it looks extended. And also notice that the prop arms are individual. They flop around like that, and you screw them on with little teeny Phillips screwdriver heads. But this is the Sky Hunter. I've had this particular model for several months now, and I have to say I'm really happy with it. This was only about maybe $68 when I got it, and if you go online on Amazon and elsewhere, you're going to find it for a heck of a lot less. The prices come down a little bit. Now, this does come in different versions, so depending on the version you get, the price will be different. This version that I have has Wi-Fi. It has a little camera in it. Don't get excited about the camera. It's a cheapo. And it comes with 2 batteries. So there are different models that come without a camera and without 2 batteries, just 1 battery. So I'm assuming the price would change according to that. Okay, let's start off with going through what came in the box with my particular version. First of all, I want to start by saying the box itself is really kind of nice. You take it out and you do the padding here, and it comes with this little molded area here, and you can use it actually as a storage case later on. Your controller fits in here, the drone folds up and fits nicely in here. This area right here is for the phone adapter that you attach to the controller, but it all fits in here rather nicely, and you put your padding on top and you close her up. Okay, now I'm going to spin this around right now, and you can see on the back here it has the different versions, and I have the X8 TV, which I have no idea what that means, but I'm assuming it means video. So you can also see here the company name is Jie-Star, but I've seen this with several different manufacturer names or distributor names anyway. I've seen this online both at Amazon and elsewhere as Jie-Star. I've seen YouTube videos with Fleister on it, and I've also seen a number of others. I took some notes here. Bow Toys, King Toys, Tozo, Ghoul Sky, among others. There's a couple others that I didn't write down. So this does come in a number of different manufacturers. However, a Sky Hunter is a Sky Hunter is a Sky Hunter. So there we have the box. Now, as I said, we have the drone, which I folded up again. That comes with it. You also get a set of extra blades here of props. Now, these are the brand new props that I got when I first got this thing maybe a year ago. And I got to tell you, here's the props that I have here. Look, I don't know if you can tell all the scrapes and scratches and all that, but this thing's been through a beating, and these props are very resilient. So I've never had to replace them. There's tiny little Phillips screws, 2 per motor. So you got that right there, and that's that. And here we have the holder for the controller, and here is the controller itself. Now this is like a Nintendo game controller type of deal, but it has all these buttons work. Everything does something, okay? And this thing right here attaches onto the back. You just fold that up, put this on, put that little thing in back there, and you snap it on, and there it is. And there's that, and that'll hold your phone. This comes up like that. I don't really use this myself because the camera is kind of low quality and it takes kind of jittery, jello-ish video. But the controller itself is well made, and like as I said, everything's functional, so that's pretty nice. And then here we have the battery charger. As I said, it comes with 2 batteries, and I'll show you the battery in a minute. But the only thing I didn't like about this is it's so cheap. It's a really cheap controller, and I've already bent the prods that come in here. So that was an issue, and I'll go over that later on in the video with the pros and cons and ups and downs of this. And you also get a manual, nice little manual. Half of it's in Chinese, the front half is in English. The language in here is kind of broken English, but they get the message across, and it's understandable, and it has all the options here. This drone does come with headless mode, which I don't use. I don't like headless mode. I like to fly the drone just the way it is. And it does do flips with using the controller here. I don't do flips. I'm not a flip kind of guy. I just like flying them around like a little airplane. And this does have auto hover on it, as you can tell from the rocker here. But keep in mind, it's not GPS stabilized, so it is going to drift as it's hovering. That may be due to a breeze or because you need to trim the motors a bit. Okay, and here we have the battery. It is a 3.7 volt, 650 megaamp hour square battery, which is unusual. And when I first bought this drone, finding these batteries was not easy. And if you went online to the comment section of the product, you would see a lot of people with messages, where can I find extra batteries, and so forth. However, since a number of other manufacturers have started coming out with this, or distributors have started coming out with this, now you can find these batteries pretty easily online. You can buy them in packs of 5 pretty cheaply for, like, I don't know, 10 or 15 bucks. You can get 3 or 4 of these things. So they're pretty cheap and pretty easy to find. I don't know why they went with this particular square model instead of a larger model, because you do have a little extra space in here for something a little bigger, but it is what it is, and you get what you get. And you get about 8 minutes of flying time with this battery, which is good enough for me. Now, the Skyhunter does come with an app. Again, I don't use the app because I don't like the camera quality of the video. But if you download it, it's called Wi-Fi Star. It is right there, Wi-Fi Star. And you tap on it like that. And you spin it around like that. And it's in Chinese, but I'm almost certain that says tap here. So we'll tap there. And this is the screen you get. If you're connected to your drone and everything's all good, you'll actually see the camera view. But here you have home, camera, video. I don't know what that is. This is your memory or your storage. This right here is your mode, your flight mode. You got 30% low, 60% medium, 100% high. And then you got this here. I don't know what that is. Looks like a flipped camera. And then this right here is your controls if you wanted to fly this from your app. Now, I'm not a big fan of flying from your phone. I don't like the way these things work and all that. I prefer a controller. But here on this, you do have your standard controllers here. You have your auto takeoff, auto land. You have your trims on either side here. You have your stop, your emergency stop, which again the motors will stop and your aircraft will drop down to the ground. But there's that right there. And then also this thing over here that looks like the Partridge Family thingy there. You just drop that down, and then you have here you have some virtual reality images here. And I'm thinking maybe you could use gaming goggles for this and do your virtual thing that way. And then you just tap on, and if you tap on this again, it goes back to your normal view. Now, if you want to know what all these things do, it's not in the instruction manual or anything like that, because obviously the app is separate. So you just click on here and click on the little question mark there, and you get this little review of the things that it does. Okay, right here. All right, and then go back home, and you can go back to camera view. And that's the app right there, but again, I don't use it, so I just like flying around with the controller. Okay, so now let's put all this stuff aside here, and we'll get to starting this baby up, and I'll show you how the different ways you can start it up. And there's actually two different ways you can start it. You can start it either manually or with auto takeoff. I usually do auto takeoff because you only have about 8 minutes of flying time with this, so you know, why spend time on the ground with the motor spinning? So I got this folded out again, and I'm going to turn it on, power on. As you can see, it's got colored lights, the green in the front, red in the back, and they're going to flash until you connect with your controller here. So we'll set that down, and I'm going to turn on the controller. And when you first turn on the controller, you're going to have 3 different flight modes: low, medium, and high. I usually fly in medium anyway, and to get us started. Now, this is flashing just like the lights are flashing, and we're going to bind these two. And you have to do this every time you start the drone up. So you're going to go up, down, and then in preparation for doing the manual startup of the motors, we're going to put these both in. Okay, got a little beep there. And now this thing will start up when we do both of these out. And so I'm going to put both of these out like this, and the motors will start up. Okay, now that's the manual, and you can sit there and watch the blade spin before you decide to take off. Or if you press, there goes my notes, if you press both of these down, both of these right here come down, you'll kill the motors. Now you want to be careful not to do that while your Sky Hunter is in the air, because it'll just drop to the ground. So the other way to launch this thing is to press this button right here on the left, this lower one. It is actually L2. And if you press that, this will just, the motors will start up and it'll just take off, which I'm not going to do right here. We're going to do a flight test outside, and I'll show you that. That'll be a break from this table review here. And now let's, I'll just quickly go over the different functions here on the controller. I did do a field test video for this, which I'm going to show in this video, and I can't remember what I covered and what I didn't, but real quickly, if you look on top here, this is your auto takeoff. This is your auto land, if you need to land real quick. You can also land by just bringing it down here like that. Over here you have your trimming, and this is not a GPS stabilized drone, so you will need to trim your vehicle once it's in flight. I do this in a couple of seconds. It's not really a big deal. Left, right, forward, backward, and over here you have your yaw trim, yaw right, yaw left. Here is your camera button, and here is your video button if you have a camera on your version of this drone. And up here up top again, going back up here, this is your mode adjuster, low, medium, high. There's your mode adjuster right there. And then here, if you don't want to use your lights, this will shut off your lights. And that's the controller. Okay, so now let's break to some video that I took in the field the other day. I flew it around. It was kind of a stiff, steady breeze, so I couldn't really do some of the things that I wanted to show you. But at least you'll get to see it fly around a little bit, and once that video's done, we'll come back in here. Okay, so it's really, really breezy out here. So I'm going to try to fly this, but there's no GPS stabilization, so it's going to be really hard to fly. I was going to show you some trim operations and all that, but I'm not going to bother with that. It's going to be hard enough just keeping it in the air with this breeze. Okay, so on the control here, I've turned on the Sky Hunter, and I've turned on the controller, and right now I've got it set on medium, and you control that right here, high, low, medium. And now I'm going to connect the controller to the aircraft, and you go up, you go down, that connects it, and then That right there means your little Sky Hunter is ready to go. Now there's a couple of different ways you can do this. You can lift off manually, or you can hit the L2 button here and hold that, and it'll take off automatically. This on the right here, the R2 is the auto land. And if you're in flight and you're in a kind of a tense situation, you can depress both of these at once and it'll land automatically. It'll just come down. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get it in the air as quickly as I can, and we'll see what it can do in this wind here. Not too bad. It's going pretty good. You can see it kind of flopping around here. That's the wind that it's fighting against. The sun's kind of low on the horizon. It's late in the day. I'll try to get away from the sun. And let's keep it over here. But you know, as you can see, it flies pretty good. Yeah, the wind is coming in a direction that it's flying now, and every time I get it to the side, the wind just takes control of it. But this thing is really neat. It really tests your skills, especially on a day like this. But hey, you know what? Sun's out, it's nice and bright, so there we go. I mean, it goes at a pretty good clip. Stiff breeze now, but it's doing okay. It's hanging in there. Now the battery only lasts for about 7 minutes on this baby, so and it'll just land. When it's ready to land, it's just gonna land, and there's no warning. It's not like that. You just fly it until it settles to the earth. Oh, and that'll be that. Okay, now with that, we're just about done with this little review here. I just wanted to go over a couple of good things and bad things about this little drone here. I did mention that I really do like this drone a lot. I'm a big fan of it. It's got a lot of good things about it, and it's got some bad things too, as you would expect from, you know, a cheaper drone. So first of all, I want to go over the good things. I've flown this thing around, and it's very dependable, and I've come to really be comfortable flying it. It doesn't have GPS. It doesn't have all the fancy gadgets that a higher priced drone like a Phantom would have. But what this is good for is practice. You can practice your drone flying skills. And there's nothing about this that'll get in the way of you just flying it around in the field, you know, on a nice sunny day. Even if there's a little wind, it still flies pretty good. It's just when it's very windy out, you don't want to fly this. It's a light aircraft, even with the battery in it. So a good strong wind will take control of it pretty good. But that being said, I have no issues with its flight overall. Now, this is also a very durable drone. I have crashed this thing so many times, I can't begin to tell you. It's hit the ground, it's hit a parking lot, it's hit trees, branches, it's hit my house a few times. I've actually flown this. I have a wood shed. It's rather old, and it's got some rotting planks and such. And I flew it into the area where the eave of the roof is, and the wall of the shed is, and it was flying in and it actually stuck. This blade, or one of these blades, actually stuck into a seam in the wood. And the drone stopped, the motor stopped, which is nice, and it just stayed there like that. And it must have hit something because it was up like this. And I walked up to it, and I'm like, So I grabbed it and I pulled it out of the roof, and I looked at it and everything looked okay. The blades looked fine. And I shut it off, I turned it back on, I set it on the ground, fired her up, and away she went. Just like nothing happened. So it's pretty durable little aircraft. Okay, and now we'll go over some of the bad things about the Sky Hunter. First of all, the power supply. When I was out in the field, I did mention that the wind was maybe keeping it down or something as I was accelerating. Upon further review, that was not the case. I don't think that was the case. I think it's just that it's overpowered, and if you full throttle it going forward, it's going to tend to go down. So you need to go up if you're accelerating fast with it. So there is maybe a power issue with that. Also, with the charger, I mentioned earlier, you got these little cheap prongs in here, and I really have problems with that when I'm charging both the batteries. It's very tight getting the batteries into this connector here, and then you can charge it. So I've had some issues there. I've actually had to take my needle nose pliers and pull out the prongs a little bit on occasion because I've pressed a little too hard. And conversely, as it happens, as tight as that connection is, as time has passed, now the connection here is a little loose on the bottom of the drone, and if I open this up, you can actually see that I keep a little spacer, electrical insulator here, a little spacer in there to keep that connection tight with the battery so that I don't lose the connection there. And next up for the bad, we have the receiver thing. For some reason, when I first got this, the receiver wire was like this, and when you fold up, the legs, you might be able to tell right here it's kind of crimped. I wasn't really paying attention, and it crimped the wire here. So you got to make sure you get that out when you fold in, and the top one's okay. But make sure this wire is out when you fold it up, before you fold it up. And then another thing about these things is these lights right here, these are actually like colored tops. The lights themselves are just white bulbs. But after flying this around a couple times, these things kind of popped out. These screws here are not for the shades here. I tried a little glue around the edges, and then finally I just put Scotch tape over them to keep them on. So all these have Scotch tape on them. And that's about it for the bad. Other than that, I really do like this. As I said, this is one of my favorite drones to fly in my little fleet. I have about a half a dozen drones at this time. And I really do enjoy flying it. It's good practice. No worries, no hassle. Just, get about 8 minutes of flying in, swap out the batteries, and do a little more flying. And that's it for the Jie-Star X8 Sky Hunter. Until my next video, I'm Bill Dusty, and we'll talk to you soon.